Active Side of Infinity by Carlos Castaneda. The Active Side of Infinity by Carlos Castaneda. Narrated by Luis Moreno. The author begins with a dedication. This book is dedicated to the two men who gave me the impetus and the tools to do anthropological fieldwork, Professor Clement Meehan and Professor Harold Garfinkel. Following their suggestions, I plunged into a field situation from which I never emerged. If I failed to fulfill the spirit of their teaching, so be it. I couldn't help it. A greater force, which shamans call infinity, swallowed me before I could formulate clear-cut social scientists' proposition. Syntax. A man staring at his equations said that the universe had a beginning. There had been an explosion, he said, a bang of bangs, and the universe was born. And it is expanding, he said. He had even calculated the length of its life, 10 billion revolutions of the Earth around the sun. The entire globe cheered. They found his calculations to be science. None thought that by proposing that the universe began, the man had merely mirrored the syntax of his mother tongue, a syntax which demands beginnings like birth and developments like maturation, and ends like death as statements of facts. The universe began, and it is getting old, the man assured us, and it will die like all things die, like he himself died after confirming mathematically the syntax of his mother tongue. The other syntax. Did the universe really begin? Is the theory of the Big Bang true? These are not questions, though they sound like they are. Is the syntax that requires beginnings, developments, and ends as statements of facts the only syntax that exists? That's the real question. There are other syntaxes. There is one, for example, which demands that varieties of intensity be taken as facts. In that syntax, nothing begins and nothing ends. Thus, birth is not a clean, clear-cut event, but a specific type of intensity, and so is maturation, and so is death. A man of that syntax, looking over his equations, finds that he has calculated enough varieties of intensity to say with authority that the universe never began and will never end, but that it has gone and is going now and will go through endless fluctuations of intensity. That man could very well conclude that the universe itself is the chariot of intensity and that one can board it to journey through changes without end. He will conclude all that and much more, perhaps without ever realizing that he is merely confirming the syntax of his mother tongue. A quotation. The sorcerer's revolution, he continued, is that they refuse to honor agreements in which they did not participate. Nobody ever asked me if I would consent to be eaten by beings of a different kind of awareness. My parents just brought me into this world to be food, like themselves, and that's the end of the story. Introduction. This book is a collection of the memorable events in my life. I gathered them following the recommendation of Don Juan Matus, a Yaqui Indian shaman from Mexico, who, as a teacher, endeavored for 13 years to make available to me the cognitive world of the shamans who lived in Mexico in ancient times. Don Juan Matus' suggestion that I gather this collection of memorable events was made as if it were something casual, something that occurred to him on the spur of the moment. That was Don Juan's style of teaching. He veiled the importance of certain maneuvers behind the mundane. He hid in this fashion the sting of finality, presenting it as something no different from any of the concerns of everyday life. Don Juan revealed to me as time went by that the shamans of ancient Mexico had conceived of this collection of memorable events as a bona fide device to stir caches of energy that exist within the self. They explained these caches as being composed of energy that originates in the body itself and becomes displaced, pushed out of reach by the circumstances of our daily lives. In this sense, the collection of memorable events was, for Don Juan and the shamans of his lineage, the means for redeploying their unused energy. The prerequisite for this collection was the genuine and all-consuming act of putting together the sum total of one's emotions and realizations without sparing any. According to Don Juan, the shamans of his lineage were convinced that the collection of memorable events was the vehicle for the emotional and energetic adjustment necessary for venturing, in terms of perception, into the unknown. Don Juan described the total goal of the shamanistic knowledge that he handled as the preparation for facing the definitive journey, the journey that every human being has to take at the end of his life. He said that through their discipline and resolve, shamans were capable of retaining their individual awareness and purpose after death. For them, the vague, idealistic state that modern man calls life after death was a concrete region filled to capacity with practical affairs of a different order than the practical affairs of daily life, yet bearing a similar functional practicality. Don Juan considered that to collect the memorable events in their lives was, for shamans, the preparation for their entrance into that concrete region, which they called the active side of infinity. Don Juan and I were talking one afternoon under his ramada, a loose structure made of thin poles of bamboo. It looked like a roofed porch that was partially shaded from the sun, but that wouldn't provide protection at all from the rain. There were some small, sturdy freight boxes there that served as benches. Their freight brands were faded and appeared to be more ornament than identification. I was sitting on one of them. My back was against the front.
Okay, enough of that. Right, if you want it, get it. Okay. Now that's the bit of the... Yeah, but I mean, you can see it all. Okay, I'm just gonna quickly do the chicken for anyone who's never made one. Like I have. So this is the classic €8 one. I like it, to be honest. You know, I don't have anything specific. Actually, I could. I'm just gonna put it in here because that's what I had in mind. Okay, I suppose it's always good to rinse it just under running water. Not sure if that's something you have to do. Actually, I'm really excited about this. It's strange because I haven't done this in such a long time. Okay. Now, of course, you also have to think about what to put into it. You know, one part about... Probably you could make a coffee chicken, right? I mean, anything is possible. Normally the way you do it is you take it, you rinse it, and then you have to... So I'm just gonna do that now. It's strange, it's really strange. Just see it as pepper. Okay, I'm not... Some people, they're really disgusted by it. I never had that problem. I mean, I do feel like I should feel disgusted, but, you know, it's just, you know, if you see, let's say, your parents or whatever. I mean, of course, if I talk about parents, I will mostly draw from my own, but not only. And now I need a knife, just briefly. Okay, yeah, you could say I don't have to do this, but to be honest, I want to. Okay, it has bones. Now, I think I just want to make this fairly simple. You know, you just dry it off so that nothing sticks. So, you know, if you eat it, if it really disgusts you, but what disgusts me also, maybe, you know, other people making it. Because if you make chicken, but you actually don't like it, you know, there's women that don't like eating meat or preparing meat. And then, yeah, I mean, you need to put love into it, right? You are the one. You know, if you want to eat chicken, you have to make it. And that's what I hate with men. You know, they just think, yeah, I have a woman now. If I want chicken, she has to make it. You know, I know men who just don't eat if the woman doesn't cook. And I think there's something wrong with this. You know, if you want to eat, then you have to do the cooking. You know, I mean, that's very simple. So, we don't live in these times anymore. Okay, now before I close this, before I close the inside, what's this? Yeah, okay, there's stuff in there. But of course they scrape out all the intestines. You know, I have done these things, right? I have already, you know, you slaughter the chicken, you cut off the head, then you take a bucket with hot, boiling, like really hot water, and then you plunge the chicken into it. Why do you do that? You do so that you can take out the feathers more easily. And then you pluck it, and after it's plucked, you cut it open from the anus to here, and then you just take out all the organs, the intestines and stuff. And, you know, if it's a female, you're probably gonna have eggs in there. Also, you know, just the egg yolk. Just the egg yolk. Okay, what I have to do now is, you know, pull myself together. I have this mixture, which is made for raclette, but it's gonna be really nice. Okay, it has black pepper, nutmeg, onion, parsley, smoked paprika, garlic, white pepper, green pepper, and already salt and a bit of sugar. That means I don't have to do too much. All I have to do is put some fat around it and, you know, put this on top because I want it simple. I can make it a bit more spicy. So I will use more cayenne pepper. I don't want it to be too complicated though. Okay, now also you have touched chicken. I don't know, but probably make sure you're gonna use this. Because now I went in with my hands, okay? I'm just saying. Normally you also use oil for this, right? I don't have oil. Not that much at least. So you use fat, right? I mean, you use what you have. Now you can stuff it. You could put a beer can in there, but then you have to put it like this. You could put a Coke can in there. I don't know if it's advisable with the aluminium. You could also just make a sauce from Coke. Or you could make a sauce, you know, you just put it in here and then every once in a while you pour a little bit over. You know, this is actually what you can do with yourself, right? I mean, massage oil onto your body. Okay, this used to be a living being. You just have to remember it. It's weird and in a way also disgusting. But what can I say? Yeah, I'm not gonna use this anymore, which is why I'm just gonna use it all. Because the more fat you have swimming around in here, right, then it's gonna be nice then. Now I also have butter, but I'm not gonna put it in here. Maybe a little bit. And I'm going to, okay? Yeah, I mean, I'm not doing here, you know, this doesn't have to come back to life, if you know what I mean. I don't have to fiddle around with it too much. It just has to have a layer of fat on top of it. So also don't think, I'm just gonna rinse my hands anyway. Now talking about timing, in the time that this is in the oven, you know I can do the dishes. Okay? Yeah, you can just... What you can put actually, you can put into it. I'm gonna show you just a second. Ah. Okay, you can put a lemon, you wash the lemon, probably take it organic or whatever. You make holes into the lemon, you put it inside. I don't want to do that. Because it tastes like really like lemon then. But you could make a mixture and just put honey in. I'm not gonna do it. I am going to put fat into it though. Yeah, just like that. Then I'm gonna put potatoes around it. And then it's gonna be nice. Ow, wow. Okay. Potatoes and onions. Because I have to use these, otherwise they will go bad. Plus, right, I'm just doing this now. Yeah, you just have to try to not, whatever you think you are, genius or whatever, just don't try it, that's what I get from, don't be weirder than you have to be. That's what Terence McKenna said. I mean, he was sure, you could tell that he was quite weird, but he didn't give it all away, right? Because you're already weird to most people. Okay, first, this is just for, this is going to be chili chicken. This is chili oil. And this is already where most people if you work with spirituality, most people think you have to be a certain kind of way in order to be allowed saying, I'm spiritual, or, I've realized something. But it's not true. All you have to do is just be true to you. Which means if you want to live it like this, live it. You have to live it the way you want to live it. You hear people then that are monks somewhere, and then you've got people that are like, let's just say Don Juan from the Carlos Castaneda books. Everybody's different. And that's a fair point. Everybody is and will always be different. And that's something we all have to remember again. If somebody doesn't want this, if you have a child and the child doesn't want to eat meat, well, you don't have to. But if you do, show the child what it is. Don't just give it meat. Show the child where the meat is coming from. Maybe have your own animals and also do slaughter. I don't have a problem with this. I can slaughter animals because I'm not a phony. If I want to eat meat, I can slaughter them. But most people, they either just say they would do it, but when you give them the chance, they don't want it. Or they're, I don't know what. If you live in nature, you use what's available. And there are areas where there is nothing available but meat, I assume. But the question still remains, for me, is always the question, would I eat meat anywhere? Like, am I just gonna eat meat now? Well, I don't eat everybody's food already. There's people where I say, I don't want to eat your food. I don't say it, but I just won't eat it. And so that's, again, right, your choice. Yeah, and then you don't really have to do this. Okay, this is trash now. Don't treat it now like it's something disgusting. Just treat it like a pepper. Yes, it's a chicken. It's been alive. Actually, you do this. Why? Because I think it's supposed to keep the juices on the inside. And also I have the feeling the whole apartment is gonna stink if I do this now. But why? I mean, it's a nice smell. You know, that's one of the nicest things actually also about me. Apart from whatever it is, you know, it's the smell. I always liked the smell. Yeah, now this you could put, but I think I'm just gonna leave it. And now I'm going to take a couple of onions. You see, it doesn't have to be super complicated. It just doesn't have to be. I mean, you can make it really complicated. Or you can just try and make it as easy as you can. Because, you know, I don't always feel like cooking, and that's a fact. I don't always feel like cooking, and that's a fact. And I have to say, this feels good. It's a good choice, whether you like it or not. But to me, it feels like it's actually a good choice. Okay. And I like simple food still. I mean, if you've never made chicken and you live your life just sitting around waiting for people to talk with, well, then that's your choice. You know, I rather just keep things going. And that's the best way to also be in a relationship, to always keep looking forward, right? Okay, I don't know, somebody got sick. Okay, how do we continue? One has to be there and keep the hope up for the tribe. And maybe your tribe is not like 100 people, maybe your tribe is just your family, and then you can say, yo, be grateful, man. Be grateful you don't have to make choices for an entire tribe. You know, with warriors that carry weapons. Be grateful that you only have to make choices for yourself and your loving wife and your children if you manage to keep her a loving wife. Because you can turn her into a harpy if you're not gentle with her. Okay, now I'm just gonna put onions around it. And that's gonna give off some taste. I don't know. I just didn't feel like putting stuff into this. I mean, I just didn't feel like. Yes, so now I'm gonna put potatoes. I'm gonna just keep them a big enough size, because you also have to consider that they're gonna cook in this for at least an hour. I mean, a chicken needs time, especially if you're cooking it open. I mean, there's a fair point to it that you could actually close it off, but I don't want to now. Plus, this is a 2-day meal, probably, depending on how greedy you are. So you can just put an adequate amount of potatoes in there, because it is an entire meal, I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm just gonna put all of them in. And then this can do its thing. Okay. You know why I like this? I like it because I'm just making it for myself. I like that. I don't think it's like super selfish or anything. You know, I just think it's nice to stand at home alone in your kitchen. Yeah, this needs more fat on this side. Okay. You know, if you're standing alone at home in your kitchen, you can make something like this and feel good about it. I mean, I think that's nice. Okay? No, I'm not too fussy. I just want this to be nice. Oh wow, what's this? Okay, I just put it on 60 minutes, 180 degrees or something. You know, the rest is up to you. You know, you have to choose if you want to eat meat or not. It's your choice.